Hi, good afternoon. Nice to meet you again and to be able to continue this conversation about faith and resilience and action during these trying and challenging times for our people. Today I'm reminded of a story of a ship that was sailing and radios into the light that it sees in front of him and sees another light approaching it. And he radios in and says, "Please divert 5 degrees so we don't have a collision." To which he hears the response, "I think you should divert 30 degrees north so that we don't have a collision." The original captain says, "Well, I'm a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier, and I think you should divert the 5 degrees." To which he hears a response, "Well, we're the lighthouse. Make your choice." We're reading now about our first Jew. We studied the Torah about Abraham. Abraham was given a mission to be a light unto the people. That is who Jewish people are at the core, a source of light of moral and ethics and recognition of our Creator to the rest of our creation. This has been Abraham's original mission, and this remains our mission to the world. There are many sad stories that came out over the last couple weeks of tragedy in Israel on the front lines as our forces battle our enemy, or originally how innocent civilians' lives were taken mercilessly. But today there was another very sad turn of events that was very gut-hitting, not only for the Jews in Israel, but specifically and precisely for Jews around the world. Just a few hours ago, a statement was issued that Jews should hide their identity while traveling because of an uptick in anti-Semitism. Now, that is something that goes to the very core of what it means to be a Jew. Do we have to turn off that light because of the prevailing darkness? At the moment that the world is so dark and so much darkness is prevalent all over, is that the time that we must stop shining our light? I don't think so. Let me share 3 incidents that happened to me this last week in the course of maybe 45 minutes here in Newtown, Pennsylvania. It was a pretty stressful day. I decided to go take a walk. It was nice outside, and go get myself a coffee. So I go and walk from our center to the coffee shop about a block and a half away. And as I'm standing at the light, waiting to cross, a woman rolls down her window and says, "Don't worry, we are with you." Clearly, she wasn't a member of the Jewish faith, but she was sympathizing and empathizing. I guess the right word would be empathizing and making sure that I knew I'm not alone in this world. I'm clearly, visibly a Jewish person. And that brought out such warmth from that person who was at the corner and brought me such warmth and encouragement. Then I walk into the coffee shop filled with young teenagers. And one of them turns to me and says, "Hey, are you a rabbi?" I said, "Sure. What gave it away?" And then they turned to me and said, "Well, I had a bar mitzvah a few years ago, and I'm really proud. I'm happy you walked in and made me feel so good." I get my coffee, and then I walk back into my office, and there's a fellow waiting at the desk, at the front desk, someone who I did not recognize. I say hello and then walk into my office. And then our secretary says, "Do you have a few moments for this gentleman?" I said, "Sure." What does he want? He asked me, "Rabbi, can you help me put on tefillin?" In 30 years here in Bucks County, I never randomly bumped into someone waiting to be taught how to put on tefillin. Sadly, many times people come and drop off the tefillin that they no longer use, that they got from their grandfather. But here was a person who wanted to identify with his Jewish faith. I taught him how to put on the tefillin. He started praying. And then he went on his way, and hopefully, I'm sure, is continuing to put on his tefillin. We have nothing to be ashamed of. We have nothing to hide. If I would not present my Jewish identity, they wouldn't have drawn out the good of that woman at the stoplight. It wouldn't have encouraged that child at the Starbucks. And I wouldn't be there to be able to answer the person who is looking for someone who can teach him how to put on tefillin. Certainly, my dear friends, there's so much darkness. There are a lot of evil people out there. We must be careful. We must be vigilant. We must be aware of the reality of the uptick in anti-Semitism. But this is not the time to hide. This is not the time to put away the mezuzahs, the tefillin, and those things that identify us as Jews. Because what makes us a Jew are not the objects that we have. What makes us a Jew is our soul, a soul that was given a mission to be a light unto people. And in this time of darkness, some people may look at the mezuzah and say, well, there's a Jew. Others will look at the mezuzah and say, wow, that is an amazing thing. I want to connect to that. Can we allow ourselves not to be there shining the light for the people who want to draw from that light? Not my personal light, the light of God, the light of goodness, the light of morality, the light of life that shines through us to the entire world. The Jewish people weren't chosen to be exclusive of others. The Jewish people were chosen to share the message of this important presence of life, truth, and very clear morals to the world. So this is the time that we have to really explore and build up who we are, not, God forbid, diminish. We all know the stories of history. If someone wants to hurt a Jew, it doesn't matter how much they are hiding that, unfortunately. But if someone wants to learn from the Jew and they're hiding their identity, then we have lost an opportunity. The world is getting darker. The world is very confused. Or as a very good friend of mine, one of my senior mentors has said, we've become a very soft people. And now we have to be strong. Not we as Jews, but society has become a very soft society without giving people the strength to stand up for good beliefs and good values. Now is not the time to fall apart, my friends. Now is the time to really give that message, to learn more about what it means to you to be a Jew in this world. It's more than these kishka and the matzah balls, and it's more than even the mezuzah and the Star of David. Those are the way we express what we are. But who are you really? What are we really? We need to be the light of clarity, presence of a divine purpose to the entire world. I want to conclude with a story. There's once this little Jewish kid riding on a bus, and he sat in his back with his little tefillin, just doing his thing. The bus comes to a corner, stops, and on comes this very heavy 300-pound guy, a motorcyclist with his leather vest, his tattoos, and a long beard, a guy who really didn't look like he belonged in a shul or part of the Jewish faith. He goes to every man on that bus, are you Jewish? Guy says no. Goes to the next guy, are you Jewish? Guy says no. He finally gets to the back of the bus, and this little bar mitzvah boy, 14 years old, holding this tefillin, is all scared. This guy is going to pounce on him. He says, are you Jewish? And he clearly couldn't hide. He says, yeah, I am. He says, good. We need a 10th man for the minyan. Many times we get overwhelmed and scared by what appears to be a brutal force that is coming down on us. And we should not make a mistake. There is a brutal force coming down on us at this point. We pray to God for the safety and security of every soldier, every man, woman, and child in the Holy Land of Israel and across the world. But this is not the time to deny what we are. This is the time to dig deep, bring out the infinite power of our soul with the most beautiful message that Judaism has to offer to every person in this world, Jew or non-Jew alike, that God created a world as a garden, and he created people in this world, everyone with a very special purpose. The light, even though it may seem a little bit, has the power to overcome the great darkness. Do your part of that role. Uncover that special mission that you have. Allow the light to shine, and we will see that this light will not only shine a little bit at a time, but when we all get together, all these small lights will join together into a large torch of goodness and purpose that sooner than later will prevail and overcome the darkness that we are experiencing. My dear friends, have a wonderful Shabbos. Have a peaceful Shabbos. Have a meaningful Shabbos. Make it a time to dig a little deeper beneath the challah, gefilte fish, and matzah ball soup. Find out what that Jewish part of you is and let it shine to the entire world. If you want to continue this conversation personally, send me an email. I'll be ready to respond, of course, after Shabbos, and just continue this conversation to help you uncover that beautiful self that you are. Have a wonderful Shabbos.